Price of eggs are too high? You think you want some chickens? Well, we're gonna build a brooder today for your little chicks that you want to pick up. We're gonna use this boot tray, put underneath it, and build a brooder around it. We're only gonna get 4 little chicks. You can size this to whatever size you want. It'll work for you every time. Let's go. I'm gonna start with rough cut 1x6s. You can go to the store and buy the finished stuff right there. It'll work just the same, but once I get this milled down, we'll get started. I'll show you how we're working it. Got them planed down. Go ahead and start cutting them up. So our inside dimensions of this are going to be, I want this to slide right inside it and be kind of tight. So it's 27 by 14 3/4. So let's go ahead and start getting this cut. So I'm going to need 4 pieces at 29 inches. These are 6 inches wide. I'm going to rip the edges off here and I'm going to cut these in half. See if I can get a 2.5 inch piece. That'd be, I get the 4 out of these 2 boards. They're going to be top and bottom. We can run with that. Alright, I did end up cutting out 3 because on the 3 sides I want it to be a little taller so that there can be an opening on the front so that this will slide in and out. What I'm going to do is I'll make the back side and the 2 ends, probably make them 4 inches tall, and then the other ones, front 2, will be 2.5. Alright, so we're going to make this one 4. I need 3 of them at 2.5 inches. So there's that. And then here's the ones for the front. So then the side ones are going to have to be, I'm going to make them 15 inches. Yeah, I'm going to make them 15 inches. We're 2 feet tall. So I have to make a couple 17.5 inch. So I need 2, 4, 6, 8 of those. There's all 18 of those. There are 8 of them. These are cut down to the right size. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a couple of these put together and how they're going to look. 24 inches. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these to that length. So there's that. So I'm going to go ahead and put these together with pocket holes. I'm going to go ahead and get the pocket hole jig and get those started. Alright, I just want to try and throw one of these together quick just to see how it's going to look. Alright, so we got pocket holes in there. That's going to go, this will be the inside, that'll be the inside, that'll be the inside. Throw it together, see what we got. Alright, clamp this right down here. That way it won't go anywhere on me. Alright, so there's one side. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a router bit, and I'm going to go right around here, and I'm going to put a 3/8 inch by 1/4 inch groove in there, and I can lay a panel right in it, and I'm going to use crown staples. And alright, so I put these all together. One of the frames is inside of here. I put it all together, and now I'm going to try and router a groove along here, and so I can put a piece of 1/4 inch plywood down in there to fill the sides out. And so I measured in here 2 1/4 inches, which is what it is from the back of my router bit to the back of the guide. And I'm going to go ahead and router in here and see if I can do it. Routering has not been my strong suit before, so we're going to see how this works, and hopefully it'll work good. Now you're supposed to take your right hand and put your thumb here and point, and that's the way the router should go. So I'm going to start on this corner and come around this way, and hopefully it'll work. Alright, so I think did pretty good. Now I just got to spin it around and get the other side. And clean this up just a little bit. Let's see if I can get it out of there. Go ahead and turn it around. I don't know if I can get it to... Alright, let's go ahead and try get this last side on this one done. Alright, so now I just got to go ahead and get the rest of them put in here and get them done up. Alright, so that seemed to do pretty good on those 2 sides, or 3 sides. I get it cleaned up and I'll move it around. There's that one. It's not great. I got a snafu right there, but not too bad. Alright, there's the routering. We'll go ahead and get this cleaned up and we'll move right on to the next step. Alright, so what I'm going to do to hook this together, I'm going to drill a hole in the end of here and I'm going to put a threaded piece in, like so. and then I can put it together with screws. That way I can tear it down if I want. We'll go ahead and mark these just so I can get them on the right side. Go A. All right, so how I'm gonna go ahead and hook these together is I'm gonna use a threaded insert, wood insert. It's a 1/4 bolt. So I'm gonna drill, and it requires a 5/16 inch hole to be drilled in it in softwood. If you're going into hardwood, oak, ash, something like that, you're gonna use a 3/8 inch drill bit to drill in for this. I'm just gonna measure down on here, halfway through this, and then in 3/8 of an inch. And then I'll drill my I'll put the two boards together, drill my 5/16 hole right through it, and go right to there. So this bottom one right here, I have this is 4 inches tall. So I'm gonna go at 2 inches and at 3/8 in. That'll give me my place for my hole on this one. And this top one is 2.5, so it gives me 1.25 inches and 3/8 of an inch in. All right, so that's my line where I'm gonna be drilling at. So then to put these together, make sure you keep the dadoed side to the inside. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a clamp on here, just so I can make sure I keep them square and together the way I want. And I'll go ahead and label each one of these. This is going to be B. I'll label this side B, so I'll know which one goes where. Then just go ahead and line up the drill bit and drill my hole. Then line it up, drill down here. There we go. Now I can go ahead and I can undo the clamps, and I can put my threaded inserts in right here. They use a 6mm Allen head. I'm going to go ahead and put just a drop of CA glue on here, and then go ahead and screw them in. And repeat on the other one. All right, there are my inserts in. I'll go ahead and let this dry up. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of the sides of it. We'll get this one all put together, and then I'll bring it back when I get ready to cut the panels. All right, so I have this piece of 1/4 inch plywood. I'm gonna use it to fill I can fill both panels here with it, and I'll have to cut down some more for the other ones. But this right here is measuring out at 25 inches. I measured at 3 spots just to make sure I had the right size. And this one's coming across at 18.5. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this over to the table saw, cut her down, and then we can get one of these put in here. All right, so I got my table saw set up at 25. Go ahead and kick her around and cut this down. So there's the 25. I'll go ahead and switch this down to 18.5. There's that panel. Now I'll go ahead and get this other one cut up. The other one is gonna be 10 3/4 by 18 3/16. And 18 3/16. All right, I think they'll fall right in. I might have to square up these corners a little bit. All right, so I think I have to trim the top down just a little bit because I look like I'm a little long. Okay, fit right down in there nice. Now I have a crown stapler. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try it with these panels. All right, let's see how she works. All right, there's one panel down. The view's kind of out on the crown stapler. It is a Harbor Freight one, so. All right, there's one side down. So I think I might try to sand the corners off on these, and then see if I can get it to drop right in with these rounded corners. Just see what I like better. That might be the bee's knees right there. I sanded it down a little bit. She went right in there nice and snug. I'll go ahead and get my crown stapler. There's another panel done. That'll be plenty good. Hold some chickens in, let them grow. Now I gotta go ahead and cut down some plywood for this one to get these two done. All right, so what I gotta do is I gotta rip down this sheet of plywood. I got it bolted down or strapped down to my table here with my circular saw guide, which makes it nice to cut straight cuts, and I'm gonna give her a rip. There we go. I should have locked the wheels down on my table, I guess. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this one cut up. We'll go ahead and measure across here 3 times at the narrowest. It's like 11, 18.5. So we cut it at 18.5, just a little short of 18.5. So now I gotta cut it just short of 11 inches. Take it over to the table saw. That dropped right in there nicely. We'll go ahead and tap this one in with some crown staples. That one worked pretty good. I might have had the air pressure down too low. That one's done. Let's go ahead and get the last one done. All right, so there's that one. You know, I noticed after I edit my videos that I always say, all right then, or, and so, and you know, stuff like that. Maybe I should have a counter on there and tell how many times I say it. Moving on. So we go ahead. Now what I gotta do is I gotta make a little frame on the inside of this that'll hold the hardware cloth so they can stand on it. And I want to put a wedge in here. I'll put it right. I'm gonna put it on a plate so they'll sit in there, and then I can always take it down. So that's what we're gonna work on now. Alright, so by measuring, doing it like this, I can measure on the inside of this, and that'll give me just about a perfect measurement on here. I can double it up, make 2 of them, and I'm just going to put one on either side of this and here, and I can just let it sit right on top of that. So I got 27 and 3/8. I'm going to make it 27 1/4. That'll give me just a little bit of room on either side for some play. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down a couple boards of that. So here we go. I'm going to put these in here like this. I'm going to go ahead and put it on this one first. I'm lining this up with the very bottom of this board, because this is where the boot tray is going to slide in. So I'll line this up with the bottom like that, and then line up my marks right there so I have it middle and middle. And I can just tack this in here. So there's that side. Now I'll go ahead and get the other one done. The other board is 1.5 inches down from the top of this one. And we want to make sure when we're measuring in here, we're measuring, you can't really see it very well. Want to make sure we're measuring from the actual top of the board, not down here where we rabbited it out. We want to go from right here and then go down 1.5 inches. So there's that. That's going to be the frame, and put the other side on it, and then we can just drop that bottom piece right in there, and that'll be it. That'll be the bit of it. Now let's make a little frame. All right, so this is, you know, basically the frame on the inside. I'll put my other wall in right here, and then I'll have the other cleat on it, and then that I'm going to put a frame, build a frame for the top of it. Then the hardware cloth will go on that, and it'll sit right on top of there. That way I can just pull this apart, pack it away, put it back up when we get chickens the next year. Now I'll go ahead and I'll cut up some boards to make my frame. So the sides on my frame, I'm going to take them the full length of this, because that way it'll rest on top of here and here. So it'll give me a little more support, but they only have to be as wide as these panels. So these panels are 15 inches. Yep, so those pieces can be 15 inches. I'll probably cut them just a little bit short, just so I have the extra room in there. All right, so here are our pieces cut down. We'll go ahead and assemble these. I am going to put a little glue on these just for the extra strength. Now, mind you, it is end grain to end grain, or end grain to side grain, so I don't know how much strength I'm going to get in it, but we're going to try it. Hopefully, I don't tack it to my table or tack it to my finger. Point in having all these clamps, I guess. I'm not going to use them to save my fingers. Alright, so there's the base of the frame. I think I'm probably going to put one more piece in the middle just for the support. But now it'll go in here, sit right in there like that when the front's on there. And I'll have my screen on it and be all good to go. Alright, so here's the base. I went ahead and put a stretcher in the middle of this. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut my hardware cloth to fit on top of here. And then I have another little piece going on top of there. So let's go ahead and get the hardware cloth cut. Alright, this is a 36 inch by 5 foot long 1/4 inch mesh openings. See if I can get this out of here without drawing any blood. Alright, the worst part is trying to get this stuff flattened out so you can cut it. Hopefully without ruining my countertop, even though I've already got some gouges in it. Alright, so that should hold that right there. Alright, so we're going to try and get 14.5 inches. We should be able to get pretty close. Okay, so then I need to cut it at 27 inches, I believe I said. 27. So then we'll go ahead and get this stapled down to here. Alright, so there's one side down. And now I can go ahead and use it and square it up. So I'll get this side down, and then I can measure it, and I can square it. 31 1/16 that direction. 31 1/16 that way. So she seems like she's already pretty square. Alright, so there's that in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of wood strip right around the top of this, and I'll kind of keep it all safe and contained. This will reinforce that as well. I just go ahead and put it on with these crown staples as well. That'll keep people from getting poked with it, and the chickens. Alright, so I think that should be good. Now we'll go ahead and put it together and kind of get an idea of what the final product's going to be like. Alright, so here's the brooder all put together. Here's my boot tray. I did trim the ends off it just so it would fit in. That'll slide right underneath there. And that way I can fill it with whatever type of bedding, you know, material. I don't have to fill it with anything. That way I can just pull it out. I can take it and I can spray it out with a hose. It'll clean right up for me. Go and look inside of this. So as you can see, the tray slides right out from the bottom right there. And the chick's going to sit in there. You put your little feeder in here and your little water. And with the screws on here this way, you can go ahead and pull this down, take it apart so you can store it and it won't take up much room. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make a top for this, similar to what I have on the tray in the middle, so that there'll be some airflow. And then I'm gonna put an arm up the side of it here so that there will be a place to put a heat lamp as well. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So we're gonna get this top built for this. It's gonna be 16 3/4 this way and 29 inches this way. And I'm gonna make it so it's like a cap. So I'll sit down over, and then I'm gonna take my hardware cloth and go right across, and I'm gonna staple that to the outside edge of this and then I'm gonna put a top lip on it that'll cover up all that and keep it so nobody gets poked. And on one end, I'm gonna put a notch in it, and I'll put a board here that'll come up, and that'll be able to hold our heat lamp. So I'll put that here, and then I'll have a board up here so I can hold my heat lamp, and it won't touch the wood, and it won't cause a fire. So here's the outside. I actually had some of the board left that I used to build it with, so I went ahead and used that. Go ahead and get this all put together, and that'll finish up this project. All right, so there's that frame, and hopefully it'll slide right on top, and voila. So then we'll put our hardware cloth on here, and then another piece will go over top of it. There we go. Hardware cloth is all trimmed up. We can go ahead and get this put on. All right, so I'm gonna have to figure out how this is gonna go. Cut my notch out of it. All right, so that should work. And then I'll be able to cut that notch out of there. So then what I'll do, I'll cut my other boards. I'd really like to get this just to hold in here a little bit at least. All right, so there's that. So now I go ahead and I cut my other top board to go around here and then put that on. That I think I'm gonna make out of 3/4 inch plywood, and I'll give me kind of an overlay. So I'm gonna make that 1.5 inches wide. So you need 2 of them at 30.5. All right, so now I go ahead and put these on here. And for this, I'm using 1 1/4 inch brad nails. So then I go ahead and cut this end piece. It's gonna be 15 1/4. So we'll go ahead and get this one put in here. And then this side, I'm gonna have to put a notch in it so I can notch this out as well. So that's gonna be 15 1/4 as well. Then I can set it in here. Let me bring it around that side and I can show you guys better. All right, so I wanna notch this out right here so I can bring the other board up, but I want it to be tight. So what I can do is I put this board in here, and I want the board coming up through to be 3 inches wide. And I've already got my notches cut here for this, so I'll just go ahead and make this just a little bit wider than that, my 3 inch mark. That way I won't have too big of a problem getting it in there. So then I'll go ahead and I'll notch this out, but I'm only gonna notch it out 3/4 of an inch because I still want to cover here and I want to give it support. I'm gonna take this over to the bandsaw. I've got her marked on here where we want to get it out. And there she is. All right, we can go ahead and get her staked or tacked in. Now all you gotta do is go ahead and trim this little piece out. Alright, there we go. That little piece is out. Alright, so there's our brooder. There's our top. Got our notch out of it. See if she sits right on there. Boom, sits right down on it nice. Now I can go ahead and I can put a piece. I'm going to make a piece that'll fit right in between here. And it'll come up. We'll be able to hang our lamp on it. And it'll shine down in there. I'm going to go the whole length of this because I just want the extra support. Alright, so I think that's good, but I'm going to put a arm on it so it'll hang out and it'll give it. Okay, so what we'll do, you take this, put a little glue on here. I don't know if it's necessary, but what I'm going to do, get it around there like so. Tack her in. We got another piece, I'm going to double it up like so. Okay, and then I can go ahead and nail through the back side. And I can go ahead and pre-drill just 2 screws. Go ahead and countersink them. Alright, so there's our light support. And now our light, we'll be able to clamp right onto there, have a solid place to clamp. It'll give it a solid place to clamp. It'll keep it up away from the wood, reduce fire hazard. Alright guys, here's the chicken brooder all put together. We got the little boot tray, slide it underneath. That way when the chickens are in there, they get messy. You don't have to bother the chickens too much. You can go ahead and just pull the boot tray out, spray it out, clean it off. You can get the top off easy enough. Top's just a shelf that sits on. It won't slide off. You know, you get air movement through it because the bottom's open and the top's open. You got a nice place to hold your lamp, and it can all break down once the season's over for raising your chicks. You can break it all down, put it into a small package, and then just put it back together the following year when you want to raise more. Top slides on nice. The bottom pulls out too. It's a nice little project. Doesn't take too awful long, and it works together pretty good. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for coming around. If you found anything here you like, give me a like, a subscribe, give me a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.